We wanted to hear all about Pandora.
Well, you came to the right place because we have a lot to tell you about Pandora.
He knows more than he'll tell anybody as well.
But,
Even when he started, he won't even tell us.
But yeah, I'll tell you, coming to Comic-Con, 3 or 4 days after the show debuted has been fantastic because, I've been coming to Comic-Con for a long time. But, very rarely is it with a show that I feel so passionate about, certainly one that had just premiered. And, we didn't know what to expect, and just in the few days we've been here, it's like people who bring in art to the cast, and who are shipping the characters, and who are telling us how much they love it, and it's great because the ratings were really good, and we did great in Canada too, and so it's nice to see out of the gate because we're doing a show that's a throwback, and we're doing a show that's very optimistic and that's very out of fashion these days. Everything needs to be Breaking Bad, really dark, and Blade Runner, and science fiction needs to be, $10 million an episode, and even Lost in Space, which was a totally fun show. Now on Netflix, they turn it into this really dark, brooding thing, and we wanted to go back to the spirit of the original Star Trek and to the spirit of Next Generation, the spirit of Firefly, and even dare I say the original Star Galactica. So it's like to do all that, you don't know because audiences today are so weaned on sort of depressing, dark kind of stuff. But we feel in a world that's so cynical right now and so dark that we need to do something that says the future, will be more, that we will have a better future. People will come together. People will work together. That that's why it was so important that this cast gel as a family, and we're dealing with social issues, through metaphor and allegory. Because I always feel that at least television science fiction has never been great at predicting the future, but it's been great about being a prism to examine our present. And so that was very important, with the show. And of course, we got greenlit in February. We were in the air in July, so it's just been this insane, nonstop. Couldn't have done it without Steve, who carried those first 2 episodes on his back, to make it happen and make them work. And the show just, I think gets better and better. And the crew, the cast really gels together, as you've seen from talking to them. They really like each other.
Genuinely.
It's so rare on shows I've worked with where the cast really actually likes each other, and they love each other. They go to dinner every night, and they're like family, where you feel like they've known each other for 20 years, the way that they sort of joke around with each other, and it makes it a pleasure to be on set and to be around them and to just enjoy their company. And it's a really wonderful and gratifying thing. So I'm very happy, and you're really happy with the way the show turned out, and continues because we're still filming. We're filming for another month. We don't wrap until the end of August, and so that's crazy because now we're starting to get feedback from people, and that could potentially affect the way we write the show going forward. So that is a weird thing as well.
We've heard some interesting stories about how incidents that have happened on set or cast interactions have worked their way into the scripts. So I'm curious to know, is this something that you typically do? Is this just unique to Pandora?
This is kind of unique to Pandora. I have to tell you, because when we started shooting, when we wrote those initial episodes, we hadn't cast the show yet. So obviously we're writing characters, but as we cast these people and spend time with them, we sort of realized there were certain characteristics or things they shared with their characters, and we got to understand them better as people. So there's certain incidents that happened, like I'm sure they told you about the wasabi story, and it just became fodder. And then Ben Radcliffe, who plays Raylan, is terrified of wasps. It's like, he's terrified. He's like this tough guy who does parkour and gymnastics and can kick anything, but you see the wasp, he's like, ah! And so, how do we not put that in the show? Because here's this alien who's like, so stoic and stuff, and so yeah, very much so. We try to incorporate certain personality traits and different aspects of them as actors and as people into their character to a certain extent. But I think that's natural. You look at Shatner as Kirk. There's a lot of Shatner and Kirk. There's a lot of Picard and Patrick. So with our cast, it's the same thing. We're definitely embracing who they are as people.
And write an episode where they all get stuck in a lift. We got stuck in a lift.
Well, that'll be like the bottle show when we have no money. It'd be like, oh, they're all stuck in an elevator for an hour.
45
and
minutes.
they lived through flashbacks from previous episodes. My God, remember that time that we weren't stuck in a lift?
Now, how did you settle on filming in Bulgaria, and what's that been like?
Well, Bulgaria's been interesting because obviously we needed a place that looked different, that, because you can't just go outside and find the future. And Bulgaria is a mix of old and new, and from the very beginning of the show, the conception was that unlike Star Trek, where everything is super futuristic, that, if you go to Europe, these super modern buildings are right next to something that could be 500 years old. Because we're not just going to, unless we're Los Angeles, we're not just going to go and tear down the past and build new stuff. So the new lives by the old, and like you go to Harvard, and there's going to be like a super new, super old building from when the school was founded, and then next to it is going to be a building that Lori Loughlin donated, right? That's super modern, right? So we try and have that mix, the old classrooms and the new, and I think that's different for science fiction, and I think it's what the future will really be like, and. So Bulgaria, offered us that, and this interesting, unique architecture, and obviously we can do a lot more set construction there because it's less expensive to build there. And we're not a high budget show. I mean, we're a summer show, so we have a smaller budget, so we have to be smart about how we spend it. So it offered us a lot, and its proximity to England, where we can hire some really great actors out of the UK, that helped as well. Yeah, it was it's been a really interesting place, and we found the crews have been terrific there, and the food's been good. I found a good Mexican place in Sofia, so I'm very happy.
What was casting of this show like?
Casting was a whirlwind. I mean, we were really worried about that because we didn't have a lot of time to cast. And, normally I spend a lot of time in chemistry reads and sitting with people and mixing and matching and doing callbacks. And we didn't have that luxury. And yet it's like probably the finest cast that I've put together. I mean, a lot of it was off tape. I mean, I spent some time talking to Priscilla beforehand and stuff, but really they came together. I don't know, like alchemy, how we managed to cast a group of people that work so well together and like each other, because it was a very expedited casting process. But you had worked with Oliver before, and
yeah. I mean, I worked with Oliver on a show last summer, and
best entertainment journalist ever. Ed Gross has been knocked down to second.
I don't believe you now.
No. I mean, after hearing your questions, now I know.
No. I'm sorry. I would never let that go now. You are on my list, buddy.
I'm on the list. Oh no. But yeah, you work with Oliver and just.
Yeah, I mean, but what's great is it's such a diverse cast, isn't it? I mean, and we've got Vikash, who plays one of our lecturers. I mean, do you want to tell the story, which is just?
Well, no, this really means a lot. I mean, look, CW is all about diversity, and they were really happy because we naturally gravitated to cast a diverse cast. So by the time we presented our cast, they were thrilled that they didn't have to say anything to us about it because we believed the future was multicultural. So we had a very diverse cast, and one of the most meaningful things to me was Vikash Behind, who plays one of the teachers, Shral, was saying, I've only been offered roles where I blow things up, where I play a terrorist. And to play a teacher who's, transformative in young people's lives and has this impression, who's smart and has something to offer, he said he was virtually in tears. And it was like, it really was so meaningful to us because, things we hear the buzzwords of diversity and all this stuff, but it really, in people's lives, it's so meaningful and so powerful. I mean, same thing when you talk to Greg. I mean, for him, unless you're Stephen Yoon, chances are you haven't really had a chance to, have a romantic relationship with, a woman on television and kiss a woman on television. And, John said, like, for him to have, this kind of impact on other, to see an Asian actor on TV as the love interest is such a rare thing, and he was saying that was such an incredible opportunity for him. And I don't even think about these things. Like I thought, I worked with John the Librarians. I love John Kim. I think he's a great actor. I thought he would bring a lot to the part. He did, but I wasn't even thinking about all that aspect of it. And same thing with Vikash. I just thought he was great. I thought he was great for that role. And then you hear these stories and you realize, it just opens your world to all these ideals, which is at the heart of what hopefully the show's about. So it's great. And then to me that's hopefully what's going to make this show enduring and give it an enduring appeal, and the people will embrace it and discover it because as I was saying to them, we don't have hotels draped in the billboard for Pandora. We're a summer show on the CW. We don't have the Netflix budget where they're going to go and put us on trains. So we need to go door to door, like an Avon salesperson, and say, hey, if you dug the show, please tell people about it, because that's how people are going to discover the show. And to be at Comic-Con, having people out there, spreading the word is so important. It's so important. And hopefully we get that grassroots fandom, and I see that happening already, anecdotally. But it's so important. So to be at Comic-Con a week after the show premieres is fantastic. And we're just really, really happy to be here with the show that we really care about. We really love.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, bringing us Pandora.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if you want to follow social media, it's Pandora Series on Instagram and hashtag Pandora CW and at Mark A. Altman, Steve Hughes.
Movie Goblin.
Movie Goblin, right. Well, thank you guys. I was close.
Thank you.
Thank you.